Buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, muchas gracias to everyone for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the love and support everyone shares with me from the corazón. Gracias. Also, do please like, share, subscribe, and hype the video to help the message reach out a little further. Thank you. Well, everyone, today's topic is going to circle around Silent George, pretty much, and homie from San Marcos, right? Excuse me. But, anyways, I gotta state this to kind of make a little bit sense, right? Throughout my prison walk, you could say, I ran across a lot of homies from San Marcos, right? And at first, you could tell they were upset with me, and they had their purpose, right? Cause I met camaradas from San Marcos, even in my town, and they weren't necessarily claiming San Marcos. I remember I had just gotten shot in the leg, and the way I was dressed, gang task, kicked me out the fairgrounds. So we're in a 7-Eleven, and three of them drove up on me and my homeboy, and we got into it, and two of them I knew facts, they were PL, and the other dude I had never seen, but the next day after that I had seen him. Well, we knuckled up, and we left it at that, right? At least on the streets, because where we knuckled up, it wasn't. Well, he wasn't going to do nothing, and I wasn't going to do nothing. We would get caught. So later down the line, in San Quentin, he drives up claiming San Marcos, right? Meche from San Marcos when he was putting in work on the homies claiming Norte upstate, right? And of course, I was reckless at the moment, so I made it personal. They didn't like it, specifically the homies from SD, but regardless, they got clear. I went up on the fourth tier shower time, and I took care of business, And anyways, the reason I tell this, because it was with every homie I met from San Marcos, it's like my name circle amongst them, right? And again, it was personal, it wasn't to make the vato bad or anything. It was, you know, he tried to clip me on the streets. We handle business in reception, that's it. And anyways, up in Corcoran though, I met a camarada, they called him Clumsy from San Marcos. We're in the shoe though, we're going out to the concrete yard. So, you got a lot of time, you could say, after rutina to conversate. And, once you learn of my real name, my city, the question started, were you in Quilmas? And were you involved with this? I told him, yeah, that was me, right? And of course, you always have your guard up, right? Because you never know their reaction. But the homie, you could tell he knew better, right, than to get involved in other people's business. And Anyways, we got to talking. I told him the reason why, the run-ins we had on the streets, and he didn't say F it, but he pretty much let go of it, right? So we became what it was, We passed time, and in this passing time, he confided in me that he was doing things for Silent, from Logan, and I said, Feedmas. I had never had crossings with Silent up to this point, right? I knew that a couple camaradas from the town were in conversations with him, but me, I didn't. So, anyways, we went off, just talking about my case, about Homeboy's case. In his case, it was interesting. He was busted since '99. I guess his neighborhood caught a big, you could say, arrest, or Judas cracked down on his neighborhood in '99 and busted a lot of his homies, right, including himself. But at the moment, he took off. You know, the homie had one of them last names, right, Jones or something like that. So you would not miss who Clumsy was. I don't know what he was mixed with. I never asked. I felt that was a thing of disrespect, so I left that alone. He was a camarada. That's all that mattered to me. That's all that should matter. And that was that, right? And he actually confided me on that. In that yard, remember, I'm holding definitely the building in whole A side, right? But definitely the building, and he confided me, that he's having little issues with numerous abilities, and that silence trying to help him. The facts is the homie on the streets who was a Mula, a straight Mula. Dispensa, I say it like that, but it's what things are. He was doing the crossings. He went across, packed up whatever he was gonna finesse to cross, and he did it. To my recollection, he did it quite a bit, right? So he found it easy when this crackdown happened to outscout to Mexico, to TJ, right? Where most of the Phillies from SD, they have control of TJ, you know. But I guess he never checked in. There's a difference from you just running from Popo, trying to escape whatever happens in your neighborhood, and you just keep going MIA. Period. You know, Billy's take it as, oh, this fool's gone because he's working with these cats. It's just facts. It's just the way they view things, and that wasn't the case. He was scared straight up. He was scared to hit TJ and lift up dust and then get cut up in the things in TJ and the things that happen in Mexico. Because everyone near that border or that's been in Mexico know. And Mexico ain't like the States. They're gonna light you up, take care of you. Yeah, for sure that Mexico, they have a chance to pick you up. they're gonna have their fun with you, you know. Or there's those things where they skin you alive, you know, XX. There's so many things, man. You know, it's like Daryl in Sonora, you know. I heard somebody, I don't know why they're throwing out Daryl in Guadalajara. I don't know why. But me personally, I was real clear. Him and his nephew with that blue truck, for those that knew Daryl, happened in Piedras Negras, Sonora, where Daryl had the plaza under a different name, you know. For those that don't know, you know, I came on here and said it 1,000 times, you know, in the stories in Mexico. But anyways, he was scared, so he stayed clean, you know. But of course, within time, you know, he touched base with his homeboys, and that was his down doing. They went and picked him up. Now, a lot of people had distaste for him, you know. For example, Rudy, I heard Bobo, Boo Boo, excuse me, Rob, mostly them guys are, you know, consider TJ part of their territory, you know, like Cheeks and, you know, Bat. Well, we never said anything about Bat, you know, because I'm sure if Bat would have thought that of him, he would have got it taken care of, you know. I'm more than sure, actually. But, anyways, he was trying to clean up his thing. You know, he provided paperwork, he was working clean in TJ. He was he has never cooperated with Popo. You know, he actually had never sat with Popo till the moment he got busted. You know, and he had all the paperwork of it. But it was distrust, just sincere distrust, right? And Silent had him under his wing. You know, for a couple years, you could say. You know, again, this was 2003, and he was looking to have some seats, right? He was looking also for camaradas that had contact with their neighborhood, which homie did. But you know, out of nowhere, it's what always happens, right? If not one, but two, I don't even take two peelies with one peely to think or consider you telling, you're done. All he has to do is this fool makes me feel funny, remove him from the program, and that's it. And this homeboy had actually quite a few, you know. They were holding back. I know exactly why, right? And I even mentioned that they're holding back because they think you still have that wiggle. And he's all, "What do you mean?" You know, because I have them funny words. And I told him that you were a Mula. You went back and forth, yeah, but I always went where they indicated, picked up, crossed, and it was always different spots. Told him, yeah, but they think you might have that still, and they want part of that. You know, that suspense of you being able to touch base with dope. Most of all, that's what they care about, right? At the end of the day, they're like Popeye, right? They need their vitaminas overall. And once they seen you just holding a yard and depending on silent to touch on base on Hale, and the fact is you outscout it for a minute, and homie, and your neighborhood, they don't wait for you. That's just never gonna happen. I know we go in with an illusion, right? I was that one. I'm gonna go in. Oh, my neighborhood's gonna be there, always in touch, and no, and not because they don't want to. In my case, it was because a lot of cats my age they got killed. My crew specifically, they all got killed. Every single one of them. After Dreamer, I'm the only one left out of them. We were like 10, 11. You know, it was, no, I'm lying. It was Dreamer, then Japones that got killed. And, you know, it just start fading out. Like I said before, time keeps circling on the streets and don't wait for you. Ain't nobody gonna wait for you. But, I'm not mean to say it cold. I'm just being real. Since a youngster, I got taught by my abuelo. Si caes, caes solo. Don't expect family to be there. Don't expect friends to be there. Don't. Nah, you're gonna do your time. You solo, solo. And don't ever work with feelings. But not every mind thinks the same, or not everyone has the same clecha per se. Nevertheless, I want to touch on the outcome, right? On the homie, they one day Silent George is, he got put up to go to High Desert. Those that know 2003 High Desert, there wasn't nothing happening. Terco was there, Psycho was there, Wetter Sherm was in that prison. So it's a wrap. He was going to go there for nothing because he wasn't going to be able to do anything, right? Not even on a small scale. So Silence shot out word to Corcoran before he left to whack Homeboy. They considered him to be snitching. And, it's when Artie seen all these skeletons in his closet and the boogeyman around every corner and stuff, right? Because of the stuff he's doing. And he sends an appeal stating to go ahead and whack Homeboy. And for more than one Billy from his town is considering him a rat to try to end his life. And two lifers went, when everything was still cool. I remember Osito and Shadows, they were cellies. They went out there and they got the vato, they got the homie, and he didn't want to lock it up. He didn't want to lock it up. He even tried to reach out to me, and my goal, sorry to sound like this, is to get him back on the yard. You see, we didn't complete our mission. My orders was to take his life. We didn't complete, so they moved him from the building and shot out word, his boogie time on him. Wherever he decides to come out and program with the camaradas, boogie on him till he ain't breathing no more. And it's sad, because you give up your life straight up. And yes, I understand those that look at it from the angle that that's what we signed up for. Yeah, you signed up for to do or die for your neighborhood. And of course, we all know since a child that comes with the prison term most of the times, right? And you're to hold tough. But Do you really know what you sign up for? When you're not even capable of running away from, you could say, a RICO case, an invasion on your neighborhood, and staying low because you consider out scouting just because you were doing it good beforehand. But by you hiding out, you're taking from their pockets, and that's what's going to hurt them the most. Homeboy never did nothing wrong. I tell you because I read his paperwork. From the time they picked up a whole bunch of his homeboys, he was on the run. They never talked to him. He was being hunted down by police. He went to TJ, and yeah, he made a mistake not checking in with somebody with a billy, letting him know he's down there, laying low, right? But still, papitos talk. They just don't talk when it's going against a narrative of someone that think that's above anything, especially a camarada sureño. There's very few camaradas that I've known that get hurt by a Billy. They actually listen to him. Basically, when a Billy deems you, you're through. You're gonna skate maybe for a while, get off the yard, get to another yard with another Billy. That Billy might say, "Oh, this fool, he's mine. I can use and abuse him. Homeboy over here wants him done, and he knows I'm taking care of him. So, kaite karaver, break bread, right? He's gonna use and abuse a camarada. That's a fact. That's what I speak about the gato mentality. But anyways, the reason I say this is because we see it nowadays, right? Camaradas willing to give their life no more for the causa. It's not. It used to be for the sureño causa. The pilis were in the shoe. We were holding it down for them, and it was all to establish jars, to let our presence known, to hold our people, our cause, our movement. Now, just please pay attention, not to me, but to others. How many homies are clipping over dope, either not wanting to move their dope, not wanting to make their family move their dope, not buying from them in an aspect, or some even when you go hit, you wanting to send the whole clavo to them. For example, you go out, you hit a pedazo, they want you to shoot them the pedazo, and they're gonna break what they think you deserve that's yours. Oh, but you're paying for that pedazo, and if not, you're through. You see what the program has become. Anyways, this was just a cautionary tale with this little quick story. The homie again had never done nothing wrong. His downfall was he detached himself. Like I said before, sincerely, I tell you, he was scared for a reason, right? Down in TJ, he lay low, and it came and bit him in the butt. First off, if he admitted he had fear to Opili, it's a sign of weakness, vámonos. But you still out scouting and hit even from the Pili, so you're no good. So I leave this with this little in look, as well as a question. I want somebody to legitly answer me What's the wiggle room that we have? Sorry, I include myself, or that camaradas, campoleros, sureños have of making it. Tell me how what the program is assigned to. I'll refrain from my comments till I see what you guys say. What to say if you're out. Do your neighborhood, of course. Going back on your neighborhood is, to me, it's even worse because that's where you grow up being vagos, just being traviesos with other homies. And the prison system ain't what lying down staccatos come on and try to paint it out to be. Be trucha. Stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones. God bless. Buenas noches.
This is what we started. We always